Our pace of living leaves us little time for leisure. Our program will give you a chance to experience the fascinating world of traveling, extreme adventures, hunting and fishing. Each week we will take you to the most beautiful places of Kazakhstan. Each spring and fall, the workers of the hunting farms in our country set off to the mountains for checking the hunting land. The hunting observation has an approach that is different from the state counting of wildlife. While in the process of the total population of hunting and rare animals are carefully counted, the only task for the hunting observation is to identify the readiness of the hunting land for the arrival of hunters. Today, along with game manager Murat, we will participate in the hunting observation of the Sorbete gorge. The horseback expedition started from town of Janaturmes. Are 3 large boxes enough for us? Sure. Here are the sleeping bags. It's all good for the 2 of us. The load has to be carefully packed in valises. A valise is the saddlebag for loads. These are the saddlebags we use for loads for our 5-day trip. The last preparation is done. Maxim and Murat pack the saddlebags with everything they need for 1 week of expedition and start out of town. You have to be very careful with balancing when distributing load in the saddlebags. They have to be loaded equally on both sides, then it won't be sliding off to one side during the ride. The weather is good for the expedition. In the mountains, it's hard to predict the weather for no longer than 2 hours ahead. It often happened that great weather was quickly replaced by rain, snowfall and snowstorm. It was snowing heavily last night, and today the weather is excellent. The sun is shining, the southern slopes are melting fast. There is a long way to the Sorbete gorge. The game managers will have to cover 20 kilometers on horseback today. We spent the first 10 kilometers moving along an abandoned road. Then the road reaches dead end and an old cattle path winds further up the gorge. For 3 months, the gorge has been actively used for the needs of the distance pasture. Local farmers bring several thousands of their cows, horses and sheep here, but at the end of September, the snow falls in the upstream and the house cattle moves down to the valley. That's the reason why the wild animals move away from the area. For summer to the remote paths of mountains without any industrial activity, and in October they slowly return to Sorbete. Although usually the population and density of wild animals here in winter is not that high. Sorbete is a great place for red deer, wild boar, bears and deer to live. Our expedition had an observation in Sorbete last July, when there were more than 15 herders. Now we have to make a repeated counting and compare the data we obtained to see how the house cattle moving out impact the population of wild animals. We have to eat something during the expedition, so we bought permits for hunting small game that will diversify our poor field snacks. Here they are. It's good, we found them. This time the hunter's faith sent us some rock ptarmigans, chukars. In the fall, we don't take meat with us during the expedition. We get a permit for hunting chukars. The population of these small but tasty birds very much depends on the weather. During the soft winters, they multiply fast and occupy all suitable places, the foothills of almost all mountain ranges, Tian Shan, Shungara Latau and Altai. During winters with heavy snow, a lot of birds die due to little food available for them, and it takes several years for their population to get back to normal. This year there's a great harvest of ashberry. The forest is covered with bright red spots, the branches bow down loaded with ripe berries. After the first snow, the ashberry loses its sour taste and gets sweet. There are lots of boar tracks under the trees, they pick up the fallen berries. It's getting late and we have to think of a place to stay overnight. The herders' huts are empty from fall to spring, so we can use any of them. This is the hut we're gonna stay in tonight. It's amazing. The whole field around the hut is dug by the wild boars, look. The field in front of the hut is dug by the boars. A whole stock of wild pigs had a feast here a few days ago. Maxim and Murat enter one hut, but there's no fireplace in it. That's a problem. At night the temperature drops down to -10 degrees, and staying overnight in a hut with no heating is not comfortable. Well, there's one more hut, higher up the hill. We will get there in 1 hour and see if there's a fireplace in it. Snow is on the ground at the elevation of 1,800 meters. The tracks of 2 red deer cross the road. Finally, the next hut. Finally, one more hut. Let's see if that has a fireplace or not. There's a good fireplace in it. We need to get some wood and start it. When you get inside the hut, you need to say hello. There's a host in the hut too, like a house spirit. We will have chukars for dinner. Early in the morning, Maxim and Murat start out to the counting route. They take observation posts on top of the nearest hills and carefully study the mountain slopes using binoculars. Suddenly a red deer shout comes out of the forest. That's weird, as the rut season for red deer is over by the end of September, and some late deer has not yet found its mate. And here comes out the late singer. It turns out he is singing for a female with a calf that is feeding on the same slope. Last night and this morning we counted 7 species of red deer. We saw 5 of them, 4 females and 1 male, and heard 2 other deer. Today is October the 17th, but still the rut for red deer is going on, which is strange. For some time the red deer will keep in mixed herds, but in a couple of weeks the stags will form their bachelors club, and the females will get together in all-girl teams. Our expedition continues upstream. The snow gets deeper, it's getting much cooler now. The temperature and precipitation level in the mountains depends on the altitudinal belt. The forest belt ends at the altitude of 2,500 meters, where alpine tundra starts. Rare alpine bushes of juniper, meadows and highland swamps are called saz. The hilltop is dug by the wild boars. Here's a fresh boar trace. A boar was digging here just recently. Our heroes have unused permit for wild boar and they are trying their chances to use it. Some more digging here, also fresh. Murat gets to the bottom of the gorge on a horseback, and Maxim carefully moves along the ridge. What if they can see a boar directly from the ridge? They passed the ridge but couldn't see a boar. They counted the tracks of 7 boars at the 8 kilometers long counting line but did not see a single boar. Our group moves up to the very top of the Sarbet gorge. A high elevation plateau starts here. According to the plan, the expedition should move over the plateau to the beginning of the next gorge, Jaminet.
Но, к сожалению, пошел снег.
But unfortunately it started snowing, and we returned home without prey. But still we counted the animals. 3 days passed, and on our way back we wanted to hunt the wild boar, but the weather did not let us do it. We are going back home. The snow and wind get stronger, and we have to hurry up and get back to the forest zone.
До базового лагеря нам минимум 5 часов.
We're at least 5 hours away from the base camp, and now the horses are sliding on the slopes covered in wet snow, so we have to move down very carefully. The group gets down to the forest zone. You are safe in the forest zone even in bad weather. Ultimately, you can start fire and hide from the storm under trees.
А в горах на кабана верхом охотиться
You can't hunt the wild boar on horseback everywhere in the mountains, but you can do it here at Sarbet. This area has relatively low slopes, but hunting strategy is like this. We move on horses and use binoculars to carefully study the whole valley in front of us. If we see a boar, we get off the horses and sneak on foot. We see the tracks of a whole stock of wild boars on the path. In the Ashbury woods, the wild pigs dig the bushes of sweet and nutritious berries out of snow. The traces are very fresh. Apparently, the stock was here just a few minutes ago. Maxim identifies the wind direction and tries to sneak to the boars from under the wind. He manages to get to one dark silhouette, but it was a pig. Getting the large animal is not one of our goals. Taking meat out from such distance would be a challenge. When that pig comes at a dangerous distance, Maxim has to scare it. The stock runs away. Is the hunt really over? But no, 100 meters away we hear some noise. A second group of wild boars is coming our way. The hunters have to try and take a position for the stock to come out directly at them. Maxim changes his ambush location and waits. The noise is getting louder, but nothing can be seen in thick bushes. Minutes go by, but still no change. And finally, one small boar appears at the opening between the trees. Seems like this time the expedition will have a good dinner. Some might think that life of the hunting farm workers is boring. Others are jealous that someone got themselves a profession that most people consider as pleasure. And both are right, no doubt. The truth is, there's no free lunch. Financial asceticism and harsh conditions of life of the game managers are paid off by the wonders and beauties given to them by wild nature every single day.